even knowing the slavery and genocide and ecocide that was part of the building of America, still there was something transcendent, especially at that moment, the ideal of America, even that we had these ideals, freedom, democracy, liberty, progress. We can do anything. It's getting better and better. And at that time, like the civil rights movement was really getting underway. The environmental movement was getting underway. So even like the remaining darkness, it looked like we were going to take care of that too. The world was going to heal. We had a new president, an anti-imperialist president, a pro-civil rights president, John F. Kennedy, who was taking on the military-industrial complex, who refused to, his Joint Chiefs of Staff were anyway. So I told my dad this story. He was born in 1940. And, this glorious vision of America. And he's like, yeah, I felt it. And I remember the day it turned dark, November 22nd, 1963. Like that day is burned in his psyche. And in so many, that was the day that John F. Kennedy was assassinated. The day it turned dark, he said. And after that, as much as people still pretended to believe to themselves, as much as they bought into the official explanation of what happened on that day, on some level, the dream died. People no longer actually believed. And what happened, I think, is that the public willingly swallowed an obvious lie. If you look into the history of it, I mean, there's no way that it was just like this lone shooter. I mean, on the face of it, like, I'm not going to go into the details. Watch Oliver Stone or something. I mean, you don't have to do that much sleuthing to understand that. I mean, even if the official narrative is true, it's still a big thing to swallow. But people swallowed it easily because they were afraid. Like, to not believe it would have meant that this whole story of America wasn't true. Like, the CIA killed the president. That's not how democracy is supposed to work. We're supposed to be the exemplar of democracy. So people swallowed a lie. And it's like in any relationship.
Because the alternative was such a horrible reality.
Yeah.
It was, they couldn't hold it. The dissonance was too great.
Your reality would fall apart and your identity in that, it's like in a marriage. If there's a cheating spouse, usually the other spouse is the last one to know about it. And he's going to be ignoring all the whispers, ignoring all the signs, making excuses. And what's lost in that relationship is any kind of trust. So at that moment, the American public began to lose trust in the government. And it was no longer the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. An opposition developed, a rift that has reached an extreme degree today. And it also, because of this like deep-seated distrust, it continually finds expression in all kinds of conspiracy theories. So the Kennedy assassination was the mother of all conspiracy theories, which cannot possibly be all true. They all contradict each other, but there is truth in all of them. And the truth that rides the vehicle of conspiracy theories is that we're being lied to, that there is a reality that is hidden from us, that things don't work the way that we are superficially presented them as working. And in order to heal this divide and to heal the country and bring, and to a large extent the world, and to bring citizens and authority back into coherence, because authority is not supposed to be something we're at war against. Authority, I mean, we're supposed to respect people in authority because they've earned that authority.
Sure.
In a healthy society.
I mean, in a microcosm, that's the way it works. Like in the company, I founded Onnit. We had 180 employees. I founded, now I have a much smaller team or whatever. But I understand that my leadership, yes, I have the ability to fire someone. I can use force to move something, but it only works if they really respect me. The other things, everything starts to degrade at the moment where they don't respect my leadership and they don't respect me as a figure. And ultimately, at the point, I stepped down as CEO partly because I wasn't doing enough work for them to fully respect me as that title. It became a namesake rather than an actuality. And actually there was somebody else in the company who was doing the work. Mm-hmm. And so everybody was it hard? I was like, no, it was just real. It was the truth. It was the only thing that could bring the company back into truth, because for, 6 months or a year before that, I wasn't doing the work of a CEO. I was just holding the title. Mm-hmm. And so as soon as I stepped back, that was corrected and truth regained, and people still admired and respected me as the founder. And it was still love and hugs when I was going through the hallway and big smiles and all of those things. But that little bit of like, CEO, really? I mean, how often, how long have you been in the office? Like, I haven't seen you that much. That was all corrected. And then the company flourished in that state. It was like bringing things back to truth. But as you were saying, like the natural inclination is authority. People want to follow people who lead with truth and love and heart.
Right. So if you were running a company and you had to rely on the constant threat of, I'm going to fire you.
Yeah.
Like, that's not going to be a happy company.
No.
It's not going to get a lot done. It's people are going to do just enough to avoid being fired. They're going to be at each other's throats, competing for favor. Kind of like this country right now.
Yeah.
Like, if we had a healthy country, then people would willingly comply with all of the mandates, because there would have been a history of trust built up. And we don't have that. So the very fact of this tremendous vaccine hesitancy, I mean, like, I'm not hesitant, okay? Like, oh, I'm about to do it, but I'm hesitating. No. Anyway, like the very fact of this already means that there's a problem.
Yeah.
And we have to, instead of demonizing the vaccine resistant, what's wrong with them, let's come up with some psychosocial diagnosis, in problematizing them. We have to ask, okay, is their distrust well-founded? What is it showing us about the relationship between authority and the people? How do we bring them back together again? And so, you opened this conversation with its disclosure, its transparency. That's where trust comes from. It comes from honesty. It comes from, here's me. And so that's why I said, like, the Kennedy assassination cover-up was like this radioactive pill that was insinuated into the body politic that is generating poison, corrupting tissues, like sending this metastasizing cancer throughout the body. And you can fight the cancer forever. But if you don't remove the pill, then you're going to be fighting it forever and never healing it. And so, I'm like, that's what it's going to take. Even at the end, I even said, you know who you are. It's time for disclosure. And on top of that disclosure comes, because lies grow. Like, in order to maintain a lie, you have to tell a bigger lie and a bigger lie and a bigger lie until you're living in a matrix of lies, which we are. So it's a big deal to remove that pill. And who knows what else gets revealed. And in order to prepare the ground for disclosure, we, the people, have to step into a place of forgiveness. So ultimately, the bargain has to be disclosure in exchange for amnesty. Because the punishment mentality it strengthens the field of domination of which lying and manipulation is part. It's part of the same vibration.
Yeah.
And that's the sacrifice that we have to be willing to make for the truth. is to let go of revenge. That's the guardian at the threshold requires that coin for us to enter into the healed society that is possible after disclosure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many ways. And I think if we all look in our hearts, no matter where we fall, there's all places where we mistrust the government. Maybe it's about UFOs. Maybe you've seen some footage and you're like, that fucking thing is real and somebody's lying about it. It may not be Roswell, but it may be, even that itself.
Well, they admitted that they were lying to us now. I mean, isn't that weird? Like 2017 New York Times, like all this Navy stuff. It's like, and life goes on as normal.
Well, it's because of what you said, to acknowledge that the government is intentionally lying in this patronizing way. In any aspect, it fundamentally changes our orientation to everything. And we're also not ready to forgive that. So it's too much dissonance, And so like, I think it's happening in a gradual way. But as you said, in order to really heal, it has to be complete. It has to be a complete disclosure, really fully, for this to heal. They have to be like, all right, so check it out. We had some advanced one, and I don't know if this is true. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure about aliens because I've seen a lot of aliens on DMT, and I'm like, fuck, man, maybe it's all a DMT vision. I'm not sure. I think so. I'm pretty sure. I haven't seen one though. But ultimately, like, I heard that there was advanced information about the planes that were coming to attack Pearl Harbor. We didn't create the planes. Japan was attacking, but we knew. We had some intel, and we were like, fuck, if we let them actually bomb us, the whole country will get behind the war effort and we'll be able to stop the Nazis. So I can put myself in the mind of someone who understands our reticence after the brutal World War I, the reticence to enter another world war and just say, no, let's pretend it's not happening. And them saying, listen, we're going to lose a few troops. We're going to lose a few troops anyways. But if we don't stop this, and I'm not saying it justifies it. This is not a justification. I'm just putting myself in the place of forgiveness where I can say, would I have done different if I were them and I was in that paradigm and I didn't believe in the metaphysical things that I do? Let's say they did know that and they're like, we know that if we let them bomb and we act surprised, then we will get a full support of the American people, and we'll make all the weapons, we'll do all the things, we'll go and we'll stop the Nazis and we'll win and we'll stop this great horror from happening. And maybe pragmatically, there's an argument that was right. And then you could extrapolate that to, obviously people extrapolate that same thing to the 9/11, the towers. And that obviously is a different thing because you could say it's about terror, but it's a little bit easier to say that's a lot more about money and oil and a variety of different things. But perhaps there was that belief in terror. Perhaps there was some. So you have all of this doubt. And you don't know, but this unshakable doubt. And then there's the truly proven things, with like the COINTELPRO, the infiltration of the civil rights movement and things that we know existed. And as you said, some of this UFO disclosure, there's things that we know are there, but are not fully acknowledged and integrated. It's like a psychedelic journey can give you a revelation, but unless you integrate it, it just stays somewhere in the uncrystallized form, and you haven't metastasized it in a healthy way. And I think we're in this place where we need that truth to be integrated and let go of to really move forward healthfully. Because we're in a really poisonous spot, and I think it's, as you said, because of this deep and well-founded mistrust.